I want to include a Ronaldo, I would go for, as we say, I would go for the big Ronaldo because I love watching him play. Every time I'm just watching him during World Cups, because that's when it was. Didn't watch him play regularly for his club. There was Ronaldinho as well, who was a fantastic player to watch. I love players who learnt their game on the streets, as the saying is. Not a player who's been manufactured into a good player like CR7. I'm a big Messi fan. Maradona, I saw things Maradona, but I never watched Maradona. I can't, unless it was a World Cup, I never watched him play 90 minutes of football, because unless it was in World Cups. So I was going off of clips, what people were telling me. It's exactly the same as Pele. I had to believe what was around me. So for me, to be able to watch a player week in, week out, to see him regular, has to be Messi. Has to be Messi, because I've seen so much of his game. My debate would be between the two of them, Ronaldo and Messi. They're the only two I've watched. Ronaldo more so. That's what, I'd always have to go Messi. If you look at him, you never got that impression that, that he was out of sorts. It bothered him because the way when they scored, the celebrations after he was there, him sitting there kissing the trophy, everything was, you would never get that. But I'm sure he would have been a little bit. I think myself, and I think there'd be a lot of people out there as well, would say the same as what I'm saying, is how didn't he not play in more games? How has he not played before Otamendi? In certain ways, how has he not played before Romero, I should say, sorry. How has he not played? Romero's definitely a better defender than Otamendi. So he should have had more minutes than what he got. But I think he might look at it, and he seems, the way he conducts himself is very respectful. But the one thing he did do, when he was called upon, he was immense. Absolutely immense when he was called upon. So he will be disappointed that he didn't get the opportunity maybe to play more. I'm sure he'd like to, as everybody, you want to play in the final. I think there's a difference in getting a medal put around your neck when you play to when you haven't played, getting a medal put around your neck. It's a different feeling. We've got to say Luke Shaw, because he was playing before the break and he's played every game for his country. Steady, not outstanding, but he's been steady in a defence that hasn't really conceded a lot of goals. So you have to say he's going to be starting. Malacia never got a look in at all. Totally overlooked. And when you look at it as well, he had the coach's son playing in front of him. I was at the game when they played America. Daley Blind scored and he made a goal, but the bits in between weren't very good. Defensively, very, very slow. I was going to say one pace, but I don't know, that makes him sound quick. But everything was very, very slow. But what can I say? I mean, he scored a really good team goal, and his cross. He put the ball in for the far post, I think, for Dumfries to score against the Americans. Yeah, and I was at that game and saw that. But you can't. When you look, every manager's coach's argument will always be when a player walks in, he'll show him stats. A lot of them now, rather than maybe looking at a game. So I don't think there's any reason. No one's going to be shouting for Malacia to play. The new age people will come out and say, "Oh well, Luke Shaw's played 5 games. 5 games, he's going to be tired." If Luke Shaw hadn't been away in a World Cup and it had been a normal season, he would have played at least 5 games during that time. But then in that time, so it makes no difference at all. Luke Shaw's engine is still running. Malacia's engine has got to start again at some point. So I can't see him starting. I mean, I don't know, there's a League Cup game before, but I don't think he'll start in the first Premier League game. I don't think just by the way he is, Ten Hag, I think he's mostly been assessing him while watching him in these games that they've played. While the players have been away, seeing what he has been at home, isn't he? He wasn't in the squad, was he? No, he definitely wasn't in the Argentinian squad. No, I would have seen him. So he's just been assessing him, seeing what his attitude's like, really. If his attitude is, well, I deserve to be there for what I've done, then he's not going to be there. But I think what he'll wait and see is, the manager is, he'll wait and see how he conducts himself with the other players who have come back. He won't start him. I think he'll give the opportunities to the others to see how they've kicked on. And he'll look how his attitude is after the fact, if maybe the game or 2 games, if he doesn't play him. If it's an attitude that he's going around and sulking, it's not really the player that the manager's going to want at this moment in time. He's going to have to speak to him. But hopefully that he would, conduct himself in the right way. And when he does get in there the next time, when he starts a game, is to actually prove a point that he should be a regular. There's been too big a gap between that game of Fulham and now. Too big a gap, and that gap is just that thinking time and educating himself more about becoming a regular player for Manchester United. I really hope so. Really, 27, he should be at some level at 27. I signed for United when I was 27, so at 27 he should be in an incredible place at this moment in time, playing for that football club. But like everyone else, 99 out of 100, you don't know. You've got no idea. It's a question that you can't answer. The words you use is, I hope so. Because if it isn't going to happen for him now, it's never going to happen for him. The change of club won't make any difference. He went on loan and was poor. So expect him to come back and want to prove a point. All he's done is proven that he can have the longest injury bout out of a team, the most. So this is a moment for him. There's no one else for him to really contest being a centre forward with. He's not a centre forward. The other person who could contest it with him as such is Marcus Rashford. He's not a centre forward. So everything suggests that he's got to do something to say to Ten Hag, don't try and find anybody in January. Ten Hag, being a good manager, should and will go and look for somebody, because he knows that if he hasn't got an actual centre forward, it's going to make his job more difficult for Champions League football next season. And it's not about going to get someone to go and score 15 goals, 20 goals. It's about getting someone just to play that role, someone who you can play with as a team going forward. He's addressed defensively. He's addressed it in midfield. The next bit he's got to address is what's going to happen across the front three. Because I think the only one who I could say who's guaranteed is Anthony, because he's gone and paid a lot of money for him. So he wants to prove that he's made the right decision now. The rest of them are all fighting. And that includes Marcus Rashford as well. I think they've got to get one now. I think they need one now in January when they need to bring someone in to play that role. They definitely do need someone now, maybe to wake Martial up so he can go between the two or something, but he definitely needs someone now for belief within the team. If I'm sitting there and I haven't got a centre forward in my team and I've got this thing in my head that my ego's telling me I want to win medals, I'm going to go, we haven't got a centre forward. How are we going to win medals? No different to having a goalkeeper. If I've got a young kid in goal because the main one's got injured, I want to see somebody experiencing goal to make sure we don't concede goals. So he knows that himself. Would he have enough faith in Martial now, Ten Hag, to go to the end of the season? I'm not a manager, but I think I'm reading his mind, and he's mostly saying, no, I can't put my faith in him. So I don't know when he's going to be injured again. I know he will not play through what he deems as pain. This is like a minefield situation. When someone mentioned mentally, it kind of opens a door for everybody to come out and try and shut people down, because everyone seems to want to know about it but don't know about it. I would say he's having a bad time on the football pitch. He's not going right for him. He's found it difficult to adjust to the Premier League because he hasn't got a change of pace. He's over dribbling, not doing anything early, and he's not playing. So it's affecting him. If there's 100 players together in the room, I'd say 60% of them have that same problem. And first and foremost, it needs yourself to want to do something about it. Because if you don't want to do anything about it, no one else can. Doesn't matter who you talk to, whatever. It's not going to happen. You've got to want to do something about it. You've got to look at yourself in the mirror, as the saying goes, and you've got to ask the question, why isn't it happening? What am I not doing? And then that's what he's got to figure out. That's the bit. Yeah, he's gone away training somewhere, but it's about being away and just find out what you want to do. Do you want to play for Manchester United or not? Is the club too big for you? Expectations too big for you to deal with? Because playing in Germany, playing to the team that generally plays second fiddle with Bayern Munich is nowhere near as playing for Manchester United. Even playing for Bayern Munich, maybe nowhere near as what it is for Manchester United. So you decided to come across for a lot of money to Manchester United. Did people explain to you exactly that when you come for that kind of money, you have to generally hit the ground running? And if you don't, you're going to have to work harder to prove that you can. Just hard work. Doesn't mean a load of goals. It means that you've got to show that you're willing to work hard if your game's not right. And that's been the main problem. The moment his game hasn't been working for him and he's been really in theory, there's no point beating about the bush. He's been a waste of money at this moment in time. So what you've got to go and do is work hard, getting the ball back, doing the dirty stuff, to try and play yourself into it, to get your teammates around you, to get the fans around you, to want you to do well. And then that might lead to you starting to make better choices in what you're doing, because his choices haven't been right. So we have to be careful when we get around using an M word. We have to say that the onus is on him to want to do it himself. And that's me saying it. How much does he want to play for Manchester United? If he wants to be at Manchester United and he wants the rewards of being at Manchester United, he's the one that can help himself to get to that level, and then that will help the team push towards what they're all thriving for. Yes, I mean, we can talk human rights issues for every single business in the world if we wanted to. Life started somewhere, and in a certain way, life will always go on. So there's always going to be issues. If we're going to pull up on every major issue, let's just grow roots in our front room and never move out of it again. Doesn't matter. We have to look at football's football. People love the money. Football is money, and they're never going to turn it down. Some supporters will take it personally. If their team's successful, 9 out of 10 of them will forget about that and move on with the times. It's as simple as that. The Glazers are always going to be looking for those people out there because that's where they believe they can get most of their money. We have to look at Manchester United value as now, and it's not a lot compared to what it was. They've driven it down by the way they've conducted themselves business-wise, the way the club's gone. The club hasn't prospered enough on the park, and they forgot about that. They thought they could just live off what the club was. And I think we know in any walk of life, being something yesterday makes you weaker today. You have to be just as strong as what you were the day before. And they've forgotten that bit. I think that Frank was quite fortunate to get that Everton job. I think Frank Lampard got the job, not Frank Lampard with a good CV got the job. Their dower. I'm actually at the game on Boxing Day. God knows how I pulled that one out. Crystal Palace v Everton. Let's hope I've got a serious hangover when I go there, because I think I'm going to need it. There's nothing about Everton. Their dower. They're relying on everything defensively. They're looking to nick goals. Creativity. They're poor. They got away with it last season by the skin of their teeth because of Richarlison got them out of trouble, not the manager. Richarlison got them out of trouble. Now he's gone. Who can get them out of trouble? I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen to Everton. You know, this bit after it's really important now. Frank Lampard needs, he needs to start this second half really well. Otherwise, he could be losing another job, and then virtually Premier League wise, he's unemployable. I don't know how much homework and what he's got behind him to go into 2 Premier League jobs. At one point you needed to be in the depths of coaching at kids level, go all the way through that, and then when you get in those positions, you're prepared. He's prepared off the back of he's won Premier League titles with Chelsea. It doesn't really, as we've seen over a number of years. I don't know if it's the same in other countries. Being a top player never makes you a top manager. It doesn't. It makes you great PR wise, but it doesn't really guarantee anything. I don't want Everton to go down because Everton have never been relegated. Everton, I still think about Everton in the mid-'80s. The Peter Reeds, the Andy Gray, Paul Bracewell, Kevin Ratcliffe, Gary Stephen, Trevor Stevens. So many great players have had over years, British players. And Gary Lineker played for them but didn't win a league title. When Gary Lineker left, they won a league title. And that sums it up. But they've got something about them. But I just think the way they've gone about it, the amount of money that they have spent with different managers is incredible. The amount of rubbish that they have gone and brought, honestly, it's terrible. It's like virtually they've gone shopping at Harrods, and they've virtually come out with stuff like Oxfam stuff. Oxfam, like, is virtually a shop that gives clothes that people are giving to them. They sell them on the cheap. So they've gone buying in top notch and come out buying something which is terrible. And there's no return on investment in those people. Big wages. Every Rodriguez they brought in, the Colombian. And it's just mad what Everton have done. They kept it, we're going to move into this new ground. And we've seen everybody, when they go and do that, finances go. But Everton have just spent and spent and spent. So I look at Everton now and you just look at me and think to yourself, they might have to go backwards to go forwards. He's never really played with 2 up. And I look at Alvarez, and he's a workhorse, never stops running. Is he going to score you enough goals? You know that he's going to work so hard. He's going to close down. He's going to make unselfish runs. He hasn't got a change of pace as such. He's not lightning quick. That he'll make people tired because they're going to have to keep chasing him. But I don't know how he can fit him into the starting 11 at the moment. I think the only way that works, and so he's got to start with him maybe in League Cup games, and maybe just to get him going, to get that belief going, to get him. But because they initially signed him and he was on loan, wasn't he? And he's come back. They've just got to keep him right. I don't think he's gone to City expecting to start. He knew all along what's going to happen there, and I think he's willing to accept that where he is. So he's one of them that he's had a great World Cup, which has just bumped him up, his value up a little bit more for City as well. So he's become an investment now as well. So, but you never know, do you? He just could go in that Premier League and he'll wear people down. He pops up all over the place. He was found in the end. He didn't go to that World Cup expecting to be played that many minutes. He thought Martinez was going to be playing more. He didn't. Martinez, I think, thank goodness for Argentina, didn't play that many minutes because he had a terrible time. Oof, terrible. But I like him. If Haaland wasn't there, I think what I could be saying would be different. But Haaland being there doesn't give me enough belief that he can play at this moment.